Lots of North Carolina talk on the channel today, and North Carolina fan expert Riley Davis is with us to break it all down. Carolina did what you've been begging them to do since I've known you, Riley.
hmm
They put a bunch of video clips up of their players in practice uniforms playing basketball with North Carolina across the chest. You can find most of these clips on North Carolina's various social media accounts. Twitter has a bunch of them. I believe Instagram has a bunch as well. So let's break it all down. What is your reaction to the latest drop of your team?
Yeah, for one, Carter Elliott said this bullying works. We've been clamoring for this all offseason. First, they gave us one in July. They've given us these player introductions throughout the month of August that actually have some pretty good clips too. And then finally, what we've been waiting for, we get just the dump of 9 clips on Instagram. So shout out to the UNC Socials team. Thank you for listening. We're happy to react and say good things about the program. In terms of like the biggest on-court takeaway, there's a lot of Derek Dixon love in these clips. Like he is featured in like 3 or 4 of them, and it kind of checks out with the word that's been coming out of Chapel Hill all summer is that he's been among the most impressive or even the biggest surprises. And he was someone who Carolina recruited really hard. They made him a big priority. It almost seemed like when it was clear that Jasper was going to stay at Kentucky, it was like all of the attention in the full court press was turned on Derek Dixon. And at the time, I kind of thought he would just be a multi-year dude who might not even finish his career in Chapel Hill because transfer portal era, guys don't get playing time their freshman year. A lot of time they're a risk to leave. And just looking at his ranking, I was like, maybe this isn't going to work out. But the more you hear the reports, the more you see that he measured in like a legit 6'5". I have people who have watched him play in person that say he is a legit 6'5". That's like not an exaggeration on the team website. And it seems like he's living up to the billing and could make good on the hype. And I love, and even in these clips, there's one of them where they got him, it looks like going coast to coast, doing a little in and out move on Kyan Pookie Evans, finishing with his left. Love that. Then he gets beat down on the court by Kyan on the other end. We don't need to talk about that. But they show like the gamut of his skills beyond 3-point shooting. And that to me, the shooting is supposed to be the elite swing skill that gets him on the court. But you're watching some of these clips and he's running point in a lot of it. He's making good passes. He's like nailing live dribble passes too. It's not just like the secondary read or whatever. He's the sec or the I should say, yeah, it's him initiating the primary offense. So he's someone who I'm really excited to see what he looks like in action. But I thought it's a good job by the socials team to show what he can do a little bit.
Is Isaiah Dennis number 4?
No, that's Jaden Young.
That's Jaden Young. Okay, sorry. I was getting those two confused. We didn't really see anything from Dennis in these, did we? Unless I'm missing.
No, no, but we got the Dixon like skip past Jaden Young on the wing. Young has a really ugly jumper, but at least it went in on that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Um, Lineups. You got your starting lineup together here, right? That's the first obvious takeaway for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kyan Evans and then Bogovats, Caleb Wilson, Seth Trimble, and Vasar. I agree with you that I like what I'm seeing from Dixon. I wish that we had a little preseason flip and that he was in the starting lineup. But also, I thought
Over Pookie.
Kai and Pookie looked solid in this too. I don't want to just come on here and shit on Kyan every time. He had a couple nice drives and passes from what I saw.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I have two main takeaways from everything I saw. I think one of them is something I've said before and feel confident in. One of them is going to be a heel turn, for lack of a better little pun, no pun intended. First, Caleb Wilson, man amongst boys. Looks like Carter Elliott in men's league in these clips. Just too good for everybody else here. That's not an indictment on everybody else. I'm not slandering North Carolina. Everybody calm down. This is more Caleb Wilson looks like a legitimate lottery pick to me. And respectfully, the roster is full of guys who are never going to be legitimate lottery picks. So I think that bodes well. I think that's what I would want this to look like if I'm a Carolina fan. It's better than the alternative where Caleb isn't really standing out. Now maybe you want Bogovats to emerge too. Maybe you want some other guys to also be impressive. But I just feel like anytime I see clips, Caleb Wilson, if he gets the ball, it's like we got no answers for this. Like
Mhm.
who are you even guarding Caleb Wilson with in practice right now. I don't think there's anybody on the roster, you know?
Yeah, and in the clip he got isolated on Jaden Young, and it's like, all right, Young doesn't have a prayer in this one. So they're
Yeah,
just
it's like
like,
you could probably throw like Jaron Stevenson on him, but he's too slow, and all the guards are too small on this team. No wing can even sniff Caleb Wilson right now. So but I love what I'm seeing. I mean, we've seen all this athleticism stuff in clips from him throughout the offseason. It seems very real. I love seeing him just get the ball and kind of get the opportunity to rock. They had him do the jump ball, which was just hilarious. You're playing with Vasar, and we got Caleb Wilson doing the jump. And by the way, nobody even jumped on the other side. So it was just like Caleb Wilson's team gets rocked first. I guess that's what we're doing, right? It's crazy.
yeah, that's a good point. Even that first play though, where I think Wilson tips it to Pookie, Pookie gives it to Vasar at the elbow, like in the pinch post, if you really want me to get in my terminology bag, and he finds Seth Trimble cutting to the rim, where it's like Carolina didn't have a big who could do anything like that from a passing perspective last year. I know it looks so simple. It's like, oh wow, like it's just a 7 footer at the elbow making a proper passing read. But after what UNC watched last year, where it was like guards were getting blitzed on ball screens because no one paid any attention to the bigs, like I don't see how that couldn't excite you as a Carolina fan. I think the ball movement as a whole was popping. Even with Vasar, he has a couple nice clips here. Has the would have liked to see him dunk it with some authority off the one Kyan Evans pass where he finds him around the basket. Then he gets ripped by Derek Dixon. But even when I'm talking about Dixon, like Dixon comes down the court, shakes his defender, and finds James Brown, who once again could have finished with a little more authority. Come on, I need y'all to get a little angry on those dunks. But just like the ball movement and the passing as a whole is something that I think should be a sight for sore eyes for Carolina fans. And just seemed like so often last year when Carolina was taken out of its primary action, it resorted to ISO ball and just dribbling the air out dribbling the air out of the ball and hoisting up a bad shot. So I'm hopeful that those days are in the past or at least minimized this year. I'm sure there's still going to be that to some extent, but yeah, it's nice to see different people stepping up and like I actually like this angle from showcasing someone like Dixon, showcasing some Kyan Evans passing, as opposed to just making the focus Caleb Wilson. Because Wilson, hype's already at an all-time high for him for Carolina. You're getting reports, whether it's from the Athletic or from inside Carolina, that's saying, this is the best NBA prospect Carolina has had in a decade. They haven't had a dude like this in forever. Like it's good to hear that and know that, and the fan base is still going to expect that. But it's cool to see some other guys step into. Yeah.
Says more about the last decade than it does about Caleb Wilson, even if Caleb Wilson's awesome. But
I get it, but I mean, we're not a decade removed from like 10 this year. The past 10 years have still okay.
yeah, no, yes, great,
We have it. We have
great
two
teams,
Final Fours and a national championship in the last 10 years.
great teams at the end of the Roy era before it fell apart, and then
Yes.
a couple very good Hubert Davis teams. Not denying that. Dion, how's your job going?
Beginning of the school year, everything's like a little up and down. One of the biggest issues we've had is we can't find any uniforms for our girls' sports teams.
Mm, that's a difficult thing to find a solution for. I know damn well all about that because I got a daughter that just turned 2. She's into sports and she's already outgrowing every little piece of sports apparel she had. Thankfully, I know Clara Kate Creations. Clara Kate Creations was started by a former high school teacher who quit because it wasn't cost effective to send new twins and a 2-year-old to daycare. She found it easier to make girls' sports apparel than finding it to buy. And I am so thankful that she exists because if we have an old shirt of Murph's that she's outgrown, we can send it in and she takes that piece of apparel that means something and upcycles it into an outfit that Murphy can now wear as she grows up. She makes great stuff. It's honestly kind of like your fullback's wife, Kyle Juszczyk. Is that how you say it? She does that. But honestly, I think Clara Kate's coming for Mrs. Juszczyk's job.
I love that. I'm a big Juice guy, love his wife. Love Claire Kate even more than both of them, though.
You can send in your own custom ideas and she will come up with a design. She's just the best. Look up Clara Kate Creations on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and more. I mean, what players have you had a lottery pick?
Kobe White and Cam Johnson, I think, are the only two.
Kind of speaks to it, right?
Yeah.
Like Kobe White's great. Kobe White wasn't like world beater NBA guy coming in. He earned
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Now, again, that's not saying awful things, but that's just not how Carolina's been recruiting for 10 years, right?
It's fair. It's a
Caleb
fair point,
Wilsons
G.
aren't generational unicorns. There's a couple Caleb Wilsons every year. Carolina finally got one, and they should be really excited they got one because just looking at last year, he's better than Drake Powell and Ian Jackson by a lot, archetype
Mhm.
wise. There's no denying that whatsoever, and that would have me really excited.
I
Yeah,
just wanted to point out that UNC has not been cheeks for 10 years. We've
you've
been
been great. You've been a top 10 program for 10 years. Yeah, not denying that,
we
but
you mentioned intermittent fasting on the last video. We have been intermittent cheeks the past 6 years,
that's
but
a
we have
crazy
not
way to put
been,
it. A crazy way to put it.
but we have not been cheeks for a decade. Let that be clear.
You beat me to the punch on Vasar. That was my second takeaway. I've criticized Vasar from everything I've seen with my eyes. I haven't criticized him based on profile or anything. I loved the ad for Carolina. I believe in Vasar, think he's good. Just when we've actually seen footage and been like, oh, Carolina did a scrimmage. What happened? And Vasar goes for like 0 points and one rebound. I'm like, that doesn't seem great. This clip is awesome. The clip of him in the quote unquote pinch post. There's a lot you can do with him, and I think I've underestimated how he could be used. Now, again, Carolina fans, I don't trust your coach to be the guy to figure this out.
Mhm.
But on a team that Kai and Evans is the point guard on, yeah, give me a lot of offense running through the center that can pass. Like, I,
Mhm.
I love that. If he can be an offensive hub that's making playmaking decisions, God forbid, like Mark Pope stuff that he runs through like Amari Williams and surrounds him with shooters. I would love that for this roster build. It would be amazing. So if Hubert can figure that out, great. I loved that clip. Vasar looked awesome, very comfortable in these clips from what I saw. So one thing I will say on a positive note, and this is genuine, I do buy, no matter what the talent was last year versus this year, however you want to frame it. I buy that this year's five players on the floor together fit together as a puzzle so much more infinitely better than they did a year ago. We're not trying to jam four guys that want to do the same thing on the floor with some liabilities elsewhere. We have like a passing big surrounded by some shooters. We have a guy that needs to get downhill with some spacing around him. We have the NBA guy that everyone's going to be comfortable giving the ball to and letting him rock. We have
Mhm.
the role definition on paper makes a lot of sense. It's just got to actually come to fruition now.
Yep, I'm with you completely. I think that is the key to Carolina's season. Or if you can hang your hat on one thing, it's again, if you want to look at Hubert's tenure to see what has happened before, what has led to success. I always point to 2024, even more so than the run in 2022, because that season was so up and down. 2024 was ridiculously fun as a fan. When that team hit its stride in December, they played with so much joy. They played connected. They played great defense, but everybody knew what was expected from them every single night. You know, you had Harrison Ingram who was there to play defense, grab rebounds, knock down pick and pop threes. You had Armando who was cleaning up everything under the glass, finishing on putbacks, and you had Cormac who was there to just do Cormac things, if you will, like be annoying defensively, talk a bunch of crap, and be sort of streaky from three. That's what he was. And then you had RJ, who was like the guy. He's the one who has the rock in crunch time. He is the one with the ball in his hands. It's, the shot clock is winding down, and everyone was bought into that, and it was awesome. So if you're looking at archetypes from the past few seasons, that is what should give you hope. Is hey, I think this team, they know who they are. These players know what's expected of them. No one is going to be trying to earn a role, or I guess fit a role that they're not being asked to do, you know? So
Yeah.
that, yeah, I think there's questions about the individual pieces of pretty much everyone coming into this team. Vasar played 20 minutes a game last year. UNC hasn't exactly been what's the word I'm looking for? They haven't exactly been an NBA factory in terms of showcasing one and done guys. Luka Bogovac has to adjust to playing in the States in the ACC. Seth Trimble has been a spot starter throughout his career. Kyan Evans is moving up a level. Like there are question marks about every single guy, but if like 70% of it works out, this team's going to be pretty good because the pieces fit.
Yep, I agree. And I think there's an argument when you look at Hubert Davis's short tenure at North Carolina thus far, although it probably feels a lot longer than short. But yeah, anyways, I can't help myself, man. I think there's been only two seasons where you could say coming into the year the pieces fit. Or maybe not coming into the year. The year you were preseason number one, obviously people thought the pieces fit. But like at the end of the year, you look back on it, that team was trying to play Leaky Black and Pete Nance and Puff Johnson together sometimes while like RJ and Caleb argued over things. Like it wasn't a fit. The two
Yeah.
teams that have fit were the team that had Brady Manick as kind of the glue role guy that made the rest of the stars work.
Hmm.
And then the team that was a one seed with freshman Cadeau, with Harrison Ingram, with Cormac Ryan. Very clearly, those teams, it's like, this can work. We have a bucket that does this, a bucket that does this, and this guy makes that guy better. At least on paper, that's what I think this team is. It might not
Hmm.
have an All American like RJ Davis or Armando
Hmm.
Bacot, but it might have guys that work. I'm optimistic, and stock is up for North Carolina in my eyes. Do you agree with me?
I'm with you. I think I'm buying in, Greg. I'm buying in. We've been teasing it for like the past 3 weeks that I think there's a world where Carolina makes the Elite Eight or something. And yeah, I'm excited to get the blue and white scrimmage this upcoming weekend. Boots on the ground. I will be there with my wife and son. Come say hey if you see me, if you happen to be there. And then, gee, should we go ahead and tease it? We'll get a reaction of that between the two of us on Monday.
Well, now that I know Nat's going to be there, I think I'm just going to do it with Nat, if that's cool. Her and I will break down what we saw at scrimmage.
Should she make her sleepers debut on Monday?
Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. No, stay tuned. It'll come out early next week. But yeah, Riley, thanks as always. And I can't help but feel I might be contributing to you getting your expectations too high where it ends up hurting you in the end.
It probably will, yes.